Good evening and welcome to the first general membership meeting of 2022-2023. I'm Emily Somerville Cabrera and I'm honored to be serving as your president this year. Before we get started, I want to share a few housekeeping reminders for you. In order for you to receive meeting credit this evening, you need to have been pre-registered. You need to be present within the first 15 minutes of the meeting and remain through the scheduled end. And you must complete a meeting credit survey at the end of the meeting. We'll provide a QR code with a link to this survey. It will also be distributed to you if you pre-registered. If you've joined online and you've entered a name into Zoom tonight that is not the name that you were listed under in the JLD directory, please email that to jldallas.org. They need to be able to identify you in order to give you meeting credits. And I also want to note for those of you online, we are in meeting mode tonight. And so, I'm sorry, not meeting mode, we're in webinar mode. So there's a limited chat functionality. If you use that chat, it will go directly to the education committee, but you will also need to send an email to education@jldallas.org if you have any technical or other issues. There's somebody monitoring that account right now, and they will get back to you. So we have one item of official business before us tonight, and that's the approval of minutes from our May general membership meeting. Just a quick reminder, voting is for actives only, actives in good standing. So if you're a provisional or a sustainer, you do not need to vote. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? They were posted online and everybody is welcome to go take a look at them. Thank you, Laura. Do I have a second? Can I get your name for the record? Catherine. Thank you. All right, so please go ahead and vote using the QR code, and then I will announce the results of the vote at the end of the meeting. So as most of you know, we spent the last year celebrating our centennial while navigating the second year of the pandemic. Throughout the year, we honored the League's substantial impact on our community and our legacy of leadership. But tonight, we shift our focus to the future and officially kick off our 101st year of service to Dallas. I want to start the year with a reminder of our mission. The Junior League of Dallas is an organization of women committed to promoting voluntarism, developing the potential of women, and improving the community through the effective action and leadership of trained volunteers. In 2022-2023, our nearly 4,000 members will carry out this mission by supporting 34 community agencies and 5 signature projects. Because of our recent successful fundraising, we're giving over $1 million back to the community, and we look to raise even more through our many fundraising opportunities and special events. You'll certainly hear a lot more about these tonight, but in the particular, we look forward to the return of our auction on November 5th at the Perot Museum. And please save the date for our Milestones Luncheon. It will be on Friday, April 14th at the Omni Hotel downtown. You heard that correctly. And we will provide at least 50 hours of training opportunities throughout the year where our members can develop their leadership skills, learn more about various issues facing the community, and understand how we can support organizations providing vital services in Dallas. One of the ways that we provide training is by having women leaders and change makers share their stories with us. And we have one such person here with us tonight. And I'd like to invite Jessica Pantano, our training vice president, up here to introduce tonight's speaker.
Good evening. As Emily said, the Junior League of Dallas is a training organization. Tonight, for your learning objectives, I ask that you think about your own experiences within the league and understand how you have impacted not only our members, but the community as a whole. Also, I asked you think about your own JLD experience and how you can leverage that into the community as well as your professional life. Tonight, I have the privilege of introducing you to Arcilia Acosta, a proud JLD sustainer. Arcilia is the president and CEO of Carcon Industries and Construction, as well as the founder and CEO of Southwestern Testing Laboratories. Ms. Acosta is an entrepreneur, nationally recognized speaker, a philanthropist, and a mother. Arcilia.
Let me see if I can turn this on. Does that work? Okay, great. I'm going to set this here. And if anybody feels that it's making a lot of noise, let me know. Is that good, the volume? Well, hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy Monday. Every time I think about Monday, and I'll share some of this with you, but I think about what did you do like 2 or 3 days ago to prepare for Monday? And I'll share a little bit of that with you later on. But I'm so happy to be here. I got into my profile because I needed to kind of share with you a little bit about when I started in the league and then what I did almost simultaneously when I started the league. So my first provisional year was in 1999. And my first project, our project was at Baylor Hospital, our children's house. And I have to tell you how I was introduced to the league is that my sponsors, two of my sponsors were in Leadership Dallas with me, and it was Connie O'Neill and Betsy Cullum. And they said, you know, Arcilia, you ought to think about joining the league. You know, you just have that spirit of just giving and doing things for other people and leadership. And so I did. And I was so thankful that they, were my sponsors for that. So I will give you another, going back to my placement. So in 2000, Interfaith Housing, I was an employee co-part. And then 2001, Methodist Medical Center, Trauma Family Advocate, Methodist Medical Center, Emergency Room Advocate, Methodist Dallas Medical Center, Hospital Volunteer. In 06, Methodist Dallas Medical Center. Again, they just stopped putting what I was doing and said medical center, so, and in 06 and 07, the same thing. And then 2008, I became a sustainer. But what I want to share with you more than anything is that I started my company, my first company in 2000. So if you think about it, that was almost like my provisional year. And I had a plan around that. And I remember thinking about what I wanted to do with my companies, but I created kind of I've always had this dual path of service and also, my goals and my dreams. And part of it was that, I had parents that were always volunteering. My mom was the catechism director for 25 years, and so we were always doing things with my parents, and they were always doing things in the community. So I didn't know any other way, to be honest with you, of not just doing what I want to do, but not giving back. So when I started my business, I remember thinking my son was 2. So just so that you know, a lot of you young mothers, I remember thinking, what is the best place that I can go and still give back of my time to others and still be able to spend time with my son? And on top of that, run my business, which I just started, right? But I will tell you that for me, it was Methodist Hospital, and I will tell you why, because it was the first and the only hospital at the time that was on I-30, and that really served a lot of our underserved communities south of I-30. And so I chose ultimately to work with the volunteer coordinator for the league and to say, what can I do? I mean, there were times that I would say, let me, make posters, or let me do this, or, I wanted to make things better that I thought could be better there. And they'd never done it, but they took it. They were like, yeah, I think we can do it. So my best, funnest time was I did NICU, I did all the units, but the best part for me was the emergency center. And for 2 reasons. One is I needed to be there. I could be there at 3. First of all, you have to understand when you're in my business. And besides that, I've always been an early riser. So I made it a point that I would volunteer on Saturdays and Sundays so that I could, do my business in the day, in the week times. And then I could take my kids to soccer, my husband and I and stuff. So I would literally get to the hospital. And Sarah Jackson will tell you she's an early riser. I would get to the hospital at 3:30 in the morning, and I would stay there, and I would volunteer, and I did nothing but check people. I mean, I didn't know how to do a lot of things, but I checked people in, and I heated up blankets, and I helped people, and it was busy, as you can imagine, in an emergency room. And so I finished at about 7 a.m. and I drove home, woke up the boys. Of course, my husband was already up, woke up the boys, and we went to soccer. and did soccer all day. They didn't even know I was gone, but the best part for me was the fulfillment that I got, that I was helping the league do what we needed to do in the community. And I learned a lot. And, in that process, you can imagine that I learned a lot about our clientele too. Just your heart goes out to the people that come in every Saturday. They don't have family, and they just, you know, their heart hurts or their leg hurts and it was whatever it was that ailed them. It was my job to just check them in, make sure I got a blanket. And so for me, that wasn't all I did. I mean, I did go up to the NICU center and I did some other things. But I want to share with you that the league for me provided me a wide variety of opportunities. And I remember several years, I was like, oh, I need to go get some more hours. And it was so easy to call the league and tell them, hey, I've got this many more hours. And I did some amazing off the wall, and I don't mean off the wall, but probably off the things that I was doing. And I found some really great placements. For example, there was a placement that was for women who had left abusive relationships and they had children. And so it was, pretty anonymous where they were living. And I remember walking in and they showed me the placement and I said, well, everybody has a room and sheets and towels and stuff. And I said, oh, I could I'm a big organizer. I could wash the sheets and I could mark them small, twin, large, whatever it was, and towels and fold them. And I remember walking into their kind of utility room and just going, wow, I can really fix this. And I can put labels and, so it really is about, not just trying to help them, but understanding where your skills are and the things that you like to do. And I got a lot of pleasure out of working with that organization. So I wanted to address that because I know some of you are either provisional or you're just starting to explore the league. And so I want you to know that today I own a company that's 22 years old. It's a holding company. One is a construction company and the other is an engineering company. I also have an oil and gas company. And so you can be creative and never not give of your heart. And I have to tell you, for me, giving of my heart is part of who I am. So I can do this simultaneously. And if you want to do something in your life, you can do it as well. But I'll talk a little bit about recently. So I was appointed by Governor Abbott to be a part of the strike force to open Texas, which, was a very challenging time for us. And basically that meant there was a committee of 40 people across the state that were appointed by the governor to determine how are we going to manage COVID. And there were 4 of us in Dallas, and I'm sure across the state there were many others, of course, total of 40. But the objective really was, what can we use in our relationships and talents to help bring sanitizer? I mean, it was really like we had meetings and it was like every week about what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? But I want to say that for Texas, if you think about it, one of the things that I'll share with you about COVID that Texas did is that, and other states we learned from them, was that, we have the Texas Workforce Commission. And when we looked at the agency, the governor said, we have about 150 people there. That means these are the people that are writing checks to unemployed people and getting them out there. And so what the decision was made by him and the group was that we would go borrow employees from other state agencies. So we created a larger number of people that could actually, work with Texas Workforce and actually get the checks out to the families. It was about feeding people, paying their bills, and not having destitute people just because we have an agency that probably couldn't manage it, but we did it. And so that's just a quick example of one of the things that we did. We also in Texas, the governor was very supportive of us to find manufacturers. So we started building our own ventilators. We couldn't get them from China. We couldn't get them from anywhere. And so we started working on that. And then we started working on, how are we going to build vaccinations and who's going to be a part of that? And, Lida Hill, who is, this room is named after her. She was She's an incredible woman and philanthropist, but not that she's just a brilliant businesswoman, but basically she invested in the COVID vaccine and how we get it done and how we get it ready. And, I will tell you that this is some other things that I want to share with you is that when people say, Arcilia, what are some of the best tidbits that you would share with other people about life? And, if you stop for 1 second and go, okay, she started as a sustainer. She started as just a provisional. She decided she was going to start her own construction company. Now, granted, I had been working at Bank One Texas for 7.5 years. My first job out of Texas Tech was working for a developer. My dad started the construction company. So it wasn't just something I came up with. It was actually my passion. But when you think about that and you think about, everything that I've had to do to basically be in a predominantly male dominated industry, is just some tidbits. And I actually brought some of those with me because I wanted to share them. But these are my kind of nuggets. So I would say the risks in life that you regret are those you never take. And for me, my example was, well, if I don't make this construction company work, I can always go back to the bank. But, I've got a 401k. I'm going to go get a small business loan and I'm going to give it my shot. Right. And there were other things I did, business plan. You do have to do those kinds of things so that you're able to do it. But the other thing is I say, make true friends, like solid friends, not just periphery friends, like people that you check on, people that check on you, and that really believe in who you are. And they'll tell you exactly, my recommendation is I wouldn't do this, but you still hang out together because it's okay. It's their opinion. But then the other thing I would say is that, don't be afraid of your brilliance and your brilliant ideas. Just don't be afraid of them. And one of the things that you will know is that when I first started my construction company, it was called Carcon Concrete. I don't know why I thought I was going to be a concrete girl. But anyway, and then I got the bigger vision of, wait, what if you're Carcon Industries? And this was the banker in me. I'll have a holding company. And then if I want Carcon Concrete, I'll just put that there. And then, then I started, Carcon Telecom. And there were some things that I did. It's just what you do. And you don't just start it and have a whim. I actually had contracts for those. So, and at the same time that I was building my business, I was chairman of the Hispanic Chamber in Dallas, which is a very prominent chamber in the country. It's probably the 4th largest Hispanic chamber. And I was the 5th woman in 75 years to ever chair the organization. And then 2 years later, I was asked to be the chairman of the state Hispanic Chamber, all along building my businesses, building my people, managing that, building my staff, and just having kind of this parallel path. And then, after that, I just, really appreciated that I had a business path and a civic path, because I think if I would have given up my civic path, I don't think I'd be as happy as I am, because I have that whole giving heart in the heart of, just giving. So I will tell you, and I've written a couple of points down, so I hope they make sense to you. One of the things you learn in business, and many people will tell you this, is that we all are born with intuition. We all are. We have it, especially as moms. If you're a mom, you definitely have it. And what I will say is that for me, I live a very spirited life. So I don't know what that means to you, but you know what that means to you. So I'm always thinking of balance and giving back. And so very few people think of giving back. I mean, truly, truly, truly giving back with love in their heart. A lot of people give back with agendas, posturing, positioning, and just thinking about other intentions rather than just truly giving back. But when you're truly giving with love, it actually heals people. It really does. And many of you have probably seen that where you've been with your placement. It truly heals people. But to really touch lives and heal them and bring them some peace, safety, or calm in a moment of fear, just by you having the right heart awareness of what you are doing, you are truly a game changer because you're changing lives in the direction of organizations because of your intent is a true intent. You know, the word inspiring, people say, you know, that was so inspiring, or you've even said it to other people. Oh, that was such a great inspiring. But if you break this word down, it means to call the spirit in, inspired. It is your spirit stepping in, and that is the most powerful and beautiful part of all of you and all of us. When you say my heart is in it, my spirit, the quality of whatever you are doing becomes exponentially better. Truly giving back from a place of love, it works. It truly impacts and changes lives. So when we're letting that part of our lives lead us, this is the part that makes the most grounded, reliable, consistent, loving, and enduring creative decisions. Like you make them when it's truly inside of who you are as a person. And that is what is so valuable about all of us. Then the good people in the world, they step up, they step in. And this is what I call it. I call it the dissonance or the different energy. Might be considered a lower energy of goodness, but it just steps away because it's not a vibrational match to you. And I've learned that about clients and people. You know, when you're sitting across from somebody, you go, I don't know, I just didn't quite feel, well, okay, listen to that voice, because especially as women and mothers, we know what a gut feeling is or an intuition, because your vibes are your spirit. And it's the highest and best part and creative part of all of us. So I want to share that with you because I like to share books because people want to know, what are you reading or what are you up to and stuff. So by the way, I can't wait to read y'all's book. Hoo-hoo, that's great. But I want to share a book with you of an amazing New York Times bestselling author that I've worked with since 2010, and it's Sonia Choquette, and it's called Trust Your Vibes. And so when she wrote this latest book, she asked me to, and she's a life coach for me, by the way, and has been for about 4 years now. So she asked me if I would write a foreword for her. Okay, she's a New York Times bestseller. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna write? Let me get to what I wrote. Okay, here we go. So this is what I wrote. And I truly felt this because she let it out right after, pretty much COVID was settled in. But this is what I wrote. In these times of the great resignation, every business leader needs to both read this book and pass it along to their employees. It is important as leaders that we rely on and use our innate, intuitive intelligence at work and encourage employees to do the same. This is the most important shift that we can make to address the issues now occurring in the business world and beyond in the best possible way. And that was me as an entrepreneur and as a leader of different organizations to say, you know what? It's so basic. It's our intuition. And how many of us have it and we just don't trust it sometimes, or we doubt it or whatever. But I will tell you that when you get to where you trust your intuition, and it shouldn't be hard. I mean, you just say, oh yeah, I thought it was going to rain. Oh, I thought that was my mom calling. It happens to you all day long. And sometimes it's even fun to practice. Like my phone will ring and I go, that's Marcos, my son. Sure enough, it's Marcos, my son. And even if it isn't, something else. But I really want you all to think about your gift. And that's what my message is. Every one of you has this gift of just knowing energy, good energy, and being sixth sensory. I mean, think about how many times you drive around and they go, use your eyes, use your ears, and you go, I didn't even see that car. Or you're listening to something, you go, I didn't hear that part. And it's because you really have to think about what you already possess, which is really, really great, reasonable soundness about the decisions that you make all day long. So I'm talking to you about something that I will tell you a lot of leaders, not just in this country, but in the world, they rely on that. But the best part of this, and this is an easy way for me to explain it, for those of you who are mothers and have children, and how many times have your children said, you know, mom, that doesn't feel good. Or, you know, mom, I don't really want to go there. Or, you know, you say, you should, you know, give this person a hug or whatever. And they just kind of don't really want to do it. You know why? Because we are all born with that instinctive intuition and feeling of good energy or bad energy. So why, let me summarize this conversation and tell you that, you know, when I learned that, it is so freeing. Like you don't even have any fear. You know, if you're not going to win this project that I'm, you know, it wasn't meant for me. There was something that's going to come out on that project that I'm glad I didn't win, but I gave it my all. Trust me, I still give it my all. But it kind of gives you just a sense of just, you know who you are. So I wanted to share that with you all. I mean, when you think about, I've been doing this 22 years and, you know, I haven't talked a little bit about board service, but I joined my first biggest corporate board when I was 42 years old. And my chairman was U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Don Evans, who was 43's Secretary of Commerce. James Baker at the time was 41 Secretary of Commerce. And I was sitting in a table with amazing, brilliant people whose voices I had only heard on television, of all things, you know. But what I realized very quickly, and one of my mentors told me that, was he said, you know, Arcilia, very quickly you will understand the emperor has no clothes. You're all in the same seat. Your voice counts just as everyone else's. And a lot of times you'll come up with the solution and everyone will agree to that. So since then, I've been on 7 publicly traded boards. I currently serve on Vistra Energy, who owns TXU and Luminant Generation. So I've been in the power industry all of my career with that. I've been on 4 bank boards, and I'm on the board of Veritex Holdings, who I think does a lot for our league, but if not, remind me, because, okay, there you go. I love Malcolm. He's a great CEO. And then I serve on an oil and gas company that's based out of Houston. So relationships, leaving a great impression with everyone that you meet. And sometimes that's just a smile and a handshake. So I hope that was helpful, covering 22 years of what I've done. But I'm going to tie it back by saying the Junior League of Dallas has never not been there for me to have that civic path and business. I've never forgotten the league, and they've never forgotten me. And every time I get an award out of nowhere, there's a beautiful note from the league of how thankful y'all are for me. And so I think you're all in the right place. Good things happen from all kinds of ways, so just be open to it. So I'll take some questions now if anyone has any. Sure.
So as you mentioned, a lot of the areas. One second.
Sarah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. I'm just going off the cuff here. I swear I'm not going rogue. Arcilia, as you mentioned, a lot of places where you have led have been male dominated. Personal privilege, if you don't know, she's about to be the 2nd woman in 85 years to chair the Dallas Citizens Council, where I work, and we are so excited to have her leadership. And so in doing that, as women who are being trained and who are in the league, what would you say for many of us who are maybe mid-career or starting our careers is something we need to do in addition to the life lessons you shared? Like, where should we be? How can we be you one day?
I would say, Sarah, and thank you so much. Yeah, Sarah is one of my greatest friends. And, I've been on the board of the Dallas Citizens Council for 11 years, and many times the only woman on the board. But why did I do it? Because I love our city. I love it. I write my membership check every year, and I truly want Dallas to continue to be amazing. But I'll answer your question, Sarah. And what I would say is that you heard me talk about a dual path, and you always have to have a dual path. Like what you're doing right now, in your current employment or in your current, organizations, you need to purge things that you've either outgrown or you feel like you've left them in good stead, and you got to think about where is it that I want to go next. So that's the same thing as you would do in business. And the second thing that you would do in civic. And then I think to answer your question about a male dominated world, the biggest thing I would say is have amazing mentors. I have mentors that have helped me for many, many years, many who are men, many who are women, many who have just given me guidance that the key about mentors and friends, and people don't stop to think about it, but make a call, send a note. I think I have different notes that I send to people, my girlfriends. I buy them at the store when I'm grocery shopping. I'll be like, oh, I got to get these 5 cards, so I can send them to my girlfriends to motivate them. So it's a feeling of giving and getting and giving. And you just balance it. But I really do think that, Sarah, part of it for me is that I never made it about being a male or female. I made it about the voice, and to understand that my voice often speaks for many women. So it really is about knowing sometimes you want to say something that you're feeling, but the next time you're going to say it in a way where everybody gets it. And I just believe that, I believe that you say it with calmness and grace. I'll never forget that. Unless I'm out on a job site and something's going bad. And then I go, wait a minute, but I think, just being able to tell yourself, if you go like, what makes you happy, Arcilia? How do you get up and be happy? Never forget what you need as an individual person. If you need to go walking, for me, it's Pilates. If you need to, don't let people encroach in your wellness, mindful wellness, healthy wellness, they don't get to do it, And so I have to tell you that that's part of the fulfillment, is when you just set your boundaries. I'm sorry, I'm going for a walk. I'll be back in 2 miles or whatever, or I'm going to get on Pilates, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to write in my book. And you create the balance around you. I don't know if there's another question, but I was going to say, how we're all traveling and running and doing things. My coach today, because I have a coach that I talk to once a week, and she's been my coach. She coaches about 3 to 4, maybe 5 CEOs a year. And she's been my coach for about 5 years. And she says to me, Arcilia, you got a lot going on ahead. What's your first priority? And I said, you know what my first priority is? Because I've been traveling more than I thought. Is I said, I need to take care of my inner self. She goes, how do you need to do that? I said, I need a new suitcase. I need a new suitcase that isn't so heavy. I want to be able to just kind of purge things out so that when your outer world is kind of everywhere, your inner world, what you need to pack and what you need to do, and your books and your nails and, everything that we all have to do. But I think that's a really big lesson for all of you, is to think about, what do you need to do for your inner self? Because that brings happiness. No one can take it away from you. So thanks, Sarah. Yeah.
Thanks for being here tonight. I'm curious about what the Dallas Citizens Council's priorities are this year and what you're hoping to accomplish by the end of your presidency of the board.
Great. Well, I will become chairman in January officially, and the chairmanship lasts 2 years. But one of the biggest things that we're working on right now, that we've been working on for a while, is the passing of Proposition A, called the Brimer Bill. So we have an opportunity in Dallas for the first time. It's not going to happen in our lifetimes again, and I'm going to put it in a simple sense, but basically where the legislature in the state of Texas will give the city of Dallas $4 billion to build a brand new convention center, enhance Fair Park, which we all know that's where our state fair is. We need to make those improvements, and to do it in a way where it doesn't impact your property taxes. There's going to be a hotel tax, and the Hotel Motel Association, they're all in. So the Citizens Council has been busy raising money, not just us. We partnered with the Dallas Regional Chamber. We all kind of started the whole thing and get everybody involved. Chambers of Commerce, North Texas Commission, like everybody, to say, we need to raise money to hire a consultant that can help us put the flyers out, put the commercials out to our Dallas residents to say, we need to pass this in November. And so that's the biggest thing I would share with you all, is that vote yes on Proposition A. Can you imagine if we have a world-class convention center? And there's so many ideas around that. Let's have one like, Nashville, but just world-class, where we're getting the best conferences coming in here, many of which will impact you. But also the expansion of that entire area to where we can make it like an amazing entertainment district. We can really jumpstart our beautiful downtown Dallas. And then we're going to tie it into right across I-30 into the Southern Gateway. So it's probably the biggest thing, but I will tell you that we are a group of CEOs that personally invest into the campaigns to say, what do we need to do? We communicate with our employees. Take Parkland Hospital. We now have one of the best county hospitals in the country. And it was the Dallas Citizens Council working with the Dallas Regional Chamber, working with so many of our partners, of whom I hope it's too many to mention. But really, that's our intent. How do we make our city great and keep making it great? I mean, we have a healthcare issue with our county hospital. Let's fix it. Let's do what we need to do and go raise money from the private sector. And so I hope that helps. But the Brimer Bill, so please vote for that, Proposition A, in the November election or early voting. It's going to change downtown Dallas. It's going to be so cool, So anyway.
We have one last question from someone who's tuning in virtually, and they asked, what do you recommend for women entrepreneurs that are looking to start and scale their own businesses?
My recommendations are as follows. Number one, really be focused on what the service or product that you're going to provide. I mean, you got to pick and you got to decide. Now you can do like me, where you pick something and then you realize economically it may not work, but I'm going to do this. But I will tell you that really be committed to something that you have a passion about. I grew up around construction, so that was my passion. And really innately in my nature, I'm a builder. You can probably tell that. Build things, build this, build organizations. So I would say that. But number two, I really would recommend that you research the business you want to be in, and that you understand the capital investment that it's going to take for you to put in. Because you're either going to take capital from your family, or you're going to go try to get capital, or you're going to raise capital. It's going to be something like that. But to be realistic about that. And then I think just do your research about how much money can you really make? How many other competitors do we have? Is this unique? Now, nowadays, you can do a lot of different things to be unique. But I certainly would say that is to really understand some area or industry or something that you have a passion about, because you're probably already doing it at home. I mean, even our bloggers that we know that have like all these great makeup tips and everything, sometimes I'm like, I need to go meet with one of them. But really, just whatever it is that you want, you can do it. It's so awesome now, more than it even was 10 years ago. So I hope that helps. Okay, let me take this off. Thank you all. All right, thank you. Bye, ladies. Have fun.
Thank you. We'll have Sarah here to kick off our announcements.
So following Arcilia, wow, that's not an easy one to do. Bye, Arcilia. Thank you. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. We have a big board meeting tomorrow. Arcilia probably understated her real influence these last few years. If you haven't already been curious to look up her bio, do yourself a favor and do that. She is a fabulous, inspiring woman. She has done things that I think some of us do dream about, but really all of us in this room can make it happen. So do yourself a favor, check that out. But in addition to giving Arcilia some more kudos, I'm here to talk about nominating. And so for those of you who are in the room wondering what your league, not just what your league can do for you, but what you can do for your league. And yes, I just kind of quoted a famous US president phrase a little differently. This is a conversation for you. Okay, great. I think it's coming back. But I'm here so the one task for the nominating committee, and this is directed at the women on Zoom and in this room who have served on the leadership council. So I'm going to talk to you first. I'm going to talk to everybody else. And so for those women, we have those of us on nominating this year. This was chosen by the membership late last year. We get the distinct pleasure and honor of trying to slate the board for President-elect Christina Eubanks, who I know I saw in the room. So Christina, wave for your fans. Yes, Christina. Christina is fabulous, if you don't know this. So please say hello to her at some point. She will be the president next year following Emily. And so part of our task is trying to find out who will succeed her as president. And so if you've served on leadership council or thinking about being president or actually serving in one of these other 11 roles that we slate, please do yourself a favor and self-nominate starting September 26th. And so did I say that loud enough? I'm gonna say it again later. But literally think about it. As has already been said today, the league is a training organization. I've been in the league since 2008. I've been in 4 chapters. That's over drinks. We can talk more about that. But I love the league, to say the least. And I've served in a number of different roles. And so you learn on the job. So if you do communications for a living and you're thinking about doing comms, think about sharing that love and that skill with the league. But hey, maybe you do comms for a living. You want to try something else. Think about doing that too. A lot of what we will do in nominating is try to connect and align people's leadership skills and skills, like real technical skills, with the work of the league. The board is very important. They obviously oversee governance, but they also oversee all the operations. And so we want people who are not only dedicated, but who can really get stuff done. And so here are the deadlines starting September 26th. We're opening up nominations. And so to the next slide, please. If you're wondering, well, what else do I need? Well, here you go. You need to have, again, served on leadership council, have at least 2 years of active service. As I already mentioned, I think it's inherent in many of leaguers. You got to love this thing. You got to love the league. I mean, like, love it. Really got to love it. And I think most of you probably love it. And if you don't love it, let's talk about how you can love it. It's really easy to love the league. I swear it is. So you want to love it, and then you want to have a commitment to making us better, right? Our mission, our strategic plan, and making us not only continue to be one of the outstanding leagues in the world. And if you don't know that stat, Emily can tell you more about it later, but we are one of the top leagues in the world. So continuing to help us do that. And so if you feel that, please think about nominating September 26th for the board. The other group I said I would talk to, and we're going to talk to you later, are the folks who haven't served on leadership council. So if you haven't served on leadership council, I'm talking to you too, right? You're not out. You've got time. So we're going to come back to you later this year. We're going to talk to you about being on a project chair, being on leadership council, and other areas of the league where we need leadership. So as you're first meeting of the year already, we're thinking about next year, really sit down with yourself, reflect, and think about how you can express your love for the league and doing more than just being a member of the league. And with that, you've got my information here. I only ask you to use my phone number sparingly, meaning do not text me all the time and do not text me in the middle of the night. I might answer, but please don't do it anyway, right? And then of course, this email address here where you can reach out to me. So September 26th, we open up nominations for the board and then we run and make sure you get in everything on time. I said a lot very quickly, but we're on time. So I'm not going to take questions, but please email me, text me sparingly, or call me and figure out how you can express your love for the league. And again, how your country or your league, what it can do for you and what you can do for it. Thank you.
Boy, and Sarah thought she had the tough act to follow. Good evening. My name is Heather Lorch, and it's my great pleasure to be serving as your membership vice president this year. Looking forward to getting to know more and more of you as we find the best way to attract new members to the JLD who are just as excited and just as interested in addressing the needs of the city of Dallas as we are, but also to work with you to help retain the incredible women that we've already recruited to be a part of this organization. You may recall that in past years, we've spotlighted one of our issue areas as a whole at each of our general membership meetings. This year, we're going to take a slightly different approach, and we're going to give you more of an in-depth look at one of those agencies. And so we're going to highlight and sort of feature a single agency at each of our general membership meetings. The agency partner that I'm going to be talking about is Dallas Area Habitat for Humanity, where I'm proud to be a current board member, a former JLD project chair, and where I also what they call a core volunteer. It's essentially someone who's trained to train the other construction volunteers. I started volunteering there through my first placement as a transfer to the JLD. I relocated to Dallas in the fall, almost 7 years ago now. So I started logging my hours kind of early on in the winter, and there weren't a lot of other members volunteering at that point. Most of them were wisely waiting for the milder spring months. So again, I was a transplant from New York City and thinking, oh, it seems really mild. It's fine. I'm out here. No big deal. But since I wasn't meeting a lot of other fellow junior leaguers, I made a point of getting to know some of the other volunteers as well as the homeowners who were building alongside of us. That's essentially part of the deal at Habitat. One myth about Habitat is that, and again, Habitat's a pretty well-known organization since they've got hundreds of chapters across the country. They've got a very well sort of established brand presence, is that Habitat gives homes away. Instead, the homeowner has to go through an extensive selection and training program, including financial readiness and home ownership classes. They also have to put in what we call sweat equity, which is over 100 hours of time worked on either their own job site, or if schedules permit, maybe they'll work on somebody else's job site. If that schedule doesn't work with maybe their work schedule or something else. And so that's why I got a chance to work alongside of them when I was in that placement. Throughout my days on the site, and particularly when we'd break for lunch, I'd learn more about their personal stories and how they ended up deciding to go through the Habitat home ownership program. I learned very quickly that things that I take for granted, like having a clean and safe place to live and being in a position to purchase a home, were not necessarily their reality. But I was pleased to learn that the Habitat program made the dream of home ownership come true for so many of them. They close on their homes with a zero interest mortgage to make the monthly payments more affordable. And that sweat equity that I mentioned earlier serves as their down payment. So they don't have to put any additional funds forward at that point where they're closing on their house. Something else about Habitat's work that not many of us are aware of is that literally thousands of people who participate in the financial readiness sort of portion of that program. And actually, they're now more than ever able to do that because they've actually shifted it to a virtual platform. Those folks actually end up purchasing a home on the open market. So Dallas Habitat's reach really ends up extending far beyond the 50 or so homes that they build each year here in the city of Dallas. I share all this with you, not only to make you more familiar with a long-term agency partner of ours, and obviously one that's near and dear to my own heart, but also to remind you that each and everything you're doing while you're logging your placement hours matters. And each and everything, whether you're in a community placement or you're in an in-league placement, and whether it's installing some siding, even if it's a little crooked and you end up redoing it. It's great that the other volunteers are really gracious and they see these things happen all the time. Or maybe you're soliciting a gift on behalf of the Junior League of Dallas. But every single thing you do makes a positive impact on the lives of the people in this city that we call home. That and the opportunity to be trained as leaders in the community is why we're here. But I know that you also have a really strong desire to connect with other like-minded women, not only through your placements, but also through special projects and social events. Please know that we're working on creating as many of those opportunities as possible for you. So I encourage you to keep your eyes peeled and take a look each time you receive our biweekly quick site emails, and also keep your eyes peeled for things that you see posted on social media. Thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited about the upcoming year where we're going to have this opportunity to reconnect with those that we've lost touch with and also to make new connections, all while doing incredible things for the city of Dallas. It's my great pleasure now to introduce you to Tamara Bretta Cottrell, and she's going to tell you a little bit about North Texas Giving Day.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I am so excited to be in front of you today. And as Sarah said earlier, I love the league. I have been in the league for a little bit, not as long as some, but long enough to know that I'm excited to see your faces tonight. It is my pleasure to serve on your development team this year as a part of our Vice President of Development and our campaign manager. And so I'm here. If you could do me a huge favor, of course, we have another QR code, right? If you could pull out that phone and scan that QR code up here. I'm here to tell you about North Texas Giving Day, which I also love as well. The league has participated in North Texas Giving Day for the past 10 years. And as some of you may know, I actually didn't know this, but our dues actually cover our operational cost and our committee expenses, but they don't necessarily cover what we do in the community. That's our community fund. So all the proceeds that come from you donating or contributing to North Texas Giving Day goes to our community fund. So thinking about all the projects and all the work that we put in with the organizations that we serve, this funds from the North Texas Giving Day will go for that. So it's our goal this year to, last year, I believe we had $35,000, I believe. I'm sorry, that's our goal this year. It's $35,000 and 350 donors. And I'm gonna be transparent, y'all. I just checked and we're at about 30 donors. We need to be at 350. No amount matters. Any amount contributes, whatever you're able to do. So I just wanted to take again a moment. There are a lot of different ways that you can give other than yourselves and just being in different committees and things of that nature and different projects. But don't forget about North Texas Giving Day. It makes a difference. I'm here if you have any questions, but other than that, thank you so very much. North Texas Giving Day, September 22nd. Thank you.
Hello. So I have another way to give to the community. My name is Carrie Hill, and I am one of your co-chairs for the auction this year, along with the fabulous Jennifer Weldon here. And we are thrilled to bring the Timeless Treasures auction to you live in person for the first time since 2019. And this event will be held on November 5th at the Perot Museum of Nature and Science. And we are super excited to be holding the event at an actual agency that we partner with. So the evening will include live music, dancing, silent auction, gaming, and a chance to win diamonds. So who doesn't love diamonds, right? The diamonds are courtesy of Cook Diamonds. So we'll have a special diamond pool. Okay, so most importantly, when, where, and what to wear. So November 5th, Perot Museum of Nature and Science, and the attire is cocktail. And we want you wearing sequins, bling, anything shiny, sparkle. You get the drift, right? We don't care what the guys wear. Okay. So as long as they're not in shorts, right? Okay, there we go. Tickets and another QR code. Mine's fancy though. Fancy for the auction. So tickets, general admission, tickets are $150. This includes the ticket to the auction. And then we have this fun bonus after hours from 10 o'clock to midnight. The museum is allowing us to stay in the museum and play. So we're calling it Stay and Play. We have full reign of the museum, and we're the only ones there. That general admission ticket is you can come at 7:30. VIP admission ticket is $250, and that gets you all the above, except you also get to come to the VIP reception, and that starts at 6:30, and that's going to be held in the Lyda Hill Gyms and Mineral Hall, and that is personally my favorite place at the museum. That's on the 3rd floor. Then we have 2 other ticket packages for the donor level. That is $1,000 and $2,500. And those come with some special perks like invitation to donor cocktail and, special recognition things. So that QR code, if you snap that, that will take you to the ticket purchase page where you can look purchase straight there. So I see everybody snapping that right now, purchasing those tickets right now. I see it happening. And like we said, we're super excited. We are still looking for auction items and sponsorships. So if you are interested in donating, or you know anybody that's interested in donating in that way, you can email me at auction@jldallas.org, and we will see you there. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Kyla Lynn Bobier. I'm the co-chair of this year's DE&I committee. And as you can see, we have some books in the back. This year, the Junior League has partnered with Big D Reads to purchase 30,000 copies of the accommodation that will be given out free throughout the DFW area. So please pick up your free copy tonight. The DE&I committee has partnered with Big D Reads in collaboration of this book event to host our 3rd and final summer series that will take place on September the 28th at 6:30. It will be an informative panel discussion on the book, The Accommodation. And for you in the audience that are not familiar with Big D Reads, it's a community-wide reading program where partners distribute a single title and produce a variety of community events meant to foster conversation. So again, the League is doing our event on September the 28th. So we encourage everyone to pick up their free copy of the book and join us back on the 28th for that panel discussion. And that will be at the Junior League headquarters. And we have an esteemed panel. We have Will Evans of Deep Vellum Publishing. He is a part of the publishing company that republished this book. We also have Erica Flood Moultrie with the Dallas Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation, and Dr. Harry Robinson Jr., the founder and CEO of the African American Museum of Dallas. We hope that this panel brings an enlightened conversation of the history of politics and race in Dallas. And a fact about this book, for several years, it was an underground publishing and just recently went back into mainstream publication. So we are very excited to be able to talk about the accommodation and the history that the book discusses. And again, that will take place on September the 28th at 6:30 here at headquarters, and you will get meeting credit. And again, this will be the last DE&I series of the summer. So we hope that you'll be there.
Thank you, Kyla, for the great overview of our partnership with Big D Reads. I just want to mention Big D Reads is actually something that started several years ago. They select a different book each year, and several league members, including Len McBee, were actually among the first people who really started Big D Reads. So it's very exciting for us to have this partnership and be able to bring Big D Reads back to the Junior League of Dallas. I hope everybody will pick out their complimentary copy of the accommodation on the way out there in the back of the room. We actually will have them at headquarters all month for our members. And then tomorrow and Thursday, so tomorrow and Wednesday, from 4 to 7 p.m., the public is invited to stop by headquarters and get a copy. So please encourage any friends, colleagues, neighbors, anyone who might like a copy is welcome to stop by and get one. We also sent an email out today with a little bit of background about our partnership, including the link to the website with more information about events all around town. But it's an exciting month and a lot of opportunities to learn more about the history of Dallas and race and politics and our history of our city. I also want to thank the D&I committee for their hard work on the D&I summer series. I see Bianca, the chair, and many members of the committee here tonight. I know it's really difficult to get those meetings kind of right at the beginning of the year. And so we really do appreciate your efforts and your effort to focus on the many dimensions of diversity among our membership and the unique perspective and experience of our members. We remain committed to being an inclusive organization, and welcoming diversity within our membership will continue to be at the forefront of our efforts this year. So one of the traditions of our league is that the president can select a theme for her year, and you can see mine right there, gives it away. But to kick off our second century of service to Dallas, I selected the theme of Better Together, and you're going to hear references to this throughout the year. It is a little bit cheesy, but some of the reasons I selected it are obvious, such as the fact that our collective impact really magnifies the impact we can have in our city. But another reason I chose it is because, as several people have mentioned tonight, we are finally able to be together in a room like this after 2 years of being apart. When we talk to our members about their reasons for joining the league, one of the most common responses is they want to connect with like-minded women. That's women who also want to make an impact on their community, women who are engaged, women who care. That connection is really hard to make virtually. It's not impossible, as we know, but it's definitely easier with proximity. And although we'll continue to offer virtual meetings and volunteer opportunities so that we can meet all of you where you are, I do want to encourage everyone to re-engage with the league this year. You've heard a lot of ways that we can do that tonight. And you've also gotten to hear from a lot of our incredible women. I love seeing the heart emojis here, showing the love for the league. But that is something that I hope that you are all feeling tonight. There's a lot of love for this organization. We do have incredible women among. Thank you. But everybody, I think everyone who's here has a genuine interest in getting to know your fellow members and learning from your fellow members. That's what we're here for, is to do good and learn from each other. So I encourage you to do that. There are so many ways to do it. I urge you to come to another general membership meeting, say hello to the person you're sitting next to, especially if you don't know them. Come to a group meeting and do the same. Nominate for the board or a leadership council position. You never know who you'll meet who does nothing that you're at all interested in the league and may turn out to be somebody that you have a ton in common with. Join a special interest group. You can attend the auction, participate in one of our upcoming membership events. We'll have a list of those up here in a moment, but we truly are better together. So back to business. I'm pleased to report that the minutes did pass. Thank you very much. And I have one final announcement before we wrap up. As Arcilia mentioned, we are sitting in the Lyda Hill Auditorium. For those of you who don't know Lyda, she was a past president, I believe, in 1983-84. Is that about right, Paula? And she is celebrating her 80th birthday later this month. We owe an incredible debt of gratitude to Lyda. She has been an incredible supporter of the league. She's the reason that we have this building. Many of you probably heard her speak last year, but she's done not only incredible work for this league, but for this city. And we are collecting birthday cards for her to honor her on her 80th birthday, which I believe is September 17th. So we have some birthday cards out at the front desk, and we would love it if as many of you as would like to write her a birthday card. You can leave it at the front desk. If you don't have time tonight, you're welcome to drop one off here at headquarters sometime before Thursday. But we're very excited to be able to show our love for Lyda in this way. So thank you. Now for what you've all been waiting for. Here's the QR code. Almost, there we go. For tonight's meeting credit survey, you will need to complete this to get credit. Note that awarding credit is a very manual process, so please be patient with the education committee, particularly since this is their first time this year. Please give them a little bit of grace and allow at least 2 weeks for your membership, your meeting credit to appear on jldallas.org. So with that, have a great evening and meeting adjourned.